So may we please have a roll call right now?
Commissioner Ashworth, Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Hassler,
Here.
Commissioner Schwerin.
Here. Thank you. We'll start with the pledge. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have several service stars to hand out today. This is always exciting as we recognize the years of service and dedication that our department members have in this department, and we appreciate their commitment to the department. So we will start with our first milestone, 40 years, Miss Maria Vitale in the Division of Operational Support. With 25 years, Lieutenant Eric Von Allman, Bureau of Crimes Against Persons. Police Officer Stephen Kramer, Police Crime Laboratory. With 15 years, Mr. Daniel Stump, Office of Emergency Management. Ms. Christina Rahauser, Police Crime Laboratory. With 5 years, Officer Micah Shelton, Personnel Services Unit. And Officer Jasmine Puskul, Afton, Southwest Precinct. Sorry about that. Congratulations. Congratulations to all our department members. Next, Chief, I believe you have some awards and commendations to present.
Yes, I do. So they're making me hold this mic today because they say you can't hear me, so don't anybody throw any water at me. And I won't have to throw this mic at you, okay? Up first, we have Police Officer Andrew Jones, Chief's Commendation, Captain Capilleri. Will you come down?
Commissioners, good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to recognize Andrew Jones. Andrew works. Can you hear me? All right. We're here to recognize Andrew Jones, who works in the North County Precinct on the Midnight Watch. Does a fantastic job for us, works hard every day. But the award we're going to talk about today is from 2022. Last year, Andrew recognized the problems we were having with the stolen vehicles and the Kia and Honda specifically being stolen. So he put a lot of his self-initiative activity towards trying to stop these and investigate them once they occurred. Andrew recovered over 100 vehicles, Kia and Hondas, which led to multiple search warrants being issued and served, multiple felony and misdemeanor arrests, and the charges that came along with them also. He then passed that information on to the Detective Bureau, and they were able to use that also for their investigations. Now, that's all great, and great job on that, but the most important part on this is that the recovered property reached a total of $1.5 million. And a lot of that property was able to be returned to the victims of the North County community, and that's what we really makes a difference. So, as always, I'm very proud of you, and great job.
Hey, Andrew. I'll break the camera. Andrew, got anybody with you?
I do. I have my wife, my father.
Stand up. Next up, we have a life-saving award to police officer Ashley Ellington, presented by Captain Mundell. Along with Captain Mundell is Chief Mike Krause from the Metro West Fire District.
Okay, thank you. Morning. The story I'm going to tell is a very short story, but it really demonstrates the speed in which these incidents happen. On April 4th of this year at about 7 o'clock, Officer Ellington was on duty, got a call for a sick case. Very routine calls that we get pretty much every day. She went to the call quickly as usual, and upon getting there, assessed what was happening, quickly found that a 56-year-old lady had gone into cardiac arrest, and one of her family members was attempting CPR. Officer Ellington took over CPR and continued that for several minutes, basically keeping life going until our partners with the Metro West Fire District arrived on scene to take over. They administered a shock and brought the person back. At this point, that person is still recovering from that incident, but this just demonstrates Officer Ellington's dedication to duty, and we appreciate her hard work. Chief Krause?
Thank you, Captain. I guess I just want to draw, I think this is a great example of the cooperation that Metro West and other fire agencies enjoy with the St. Louis County Police every day. And it's not uncommon at all for us to walk in and see somebody doing CPR or helping us with our equipment. But I think the remarkable thing, Officer Ellington, that you demonstrated that day was our paramedics came back from the call and noted that your CPR was perfect. And what I mean by that is the compressions were the right depth, the right rate, and you let the whole chest recoil. And probably 90% of the time when you have a member of the public, or better stated, a non-medical trained person doing CPR, it's usually wrong. And that's not to dissuade anybody who wants you to jump on the chest and get on there and do it. But you did a great job, and your efforts led to that lady being able to come back and have a few more days here on this earth. So I can't say enough. And I can't say enough about the St. Louis County Police Department and how much we appreciate all of you. But today is your day, Officer Ellington, and we have this little certificate of distinction. It reads, in recognition of your life-saving actions during a cardiac arrest on April 4th, 2023, and your valued partnership with the Metro West Fire Protection District to the benefit of this community. So we give you this certificate of distinction, and we thank you. Thank you, sir.
Anybody here with you today? At this time, I have two promotions. Ms. Alexis Tucker, come up, please. Alexis is being promoted to the Supply Accounts Coordinator. Congratulations. You don't? You do? Did you see him? Thank you guys for being here. Sergeant Frankie Haas is being promoted to sergeant. Frankie is in the 2nd precinct. Frank, got anybody here with you today?
Yes, I've got my wife and 2 kids.
Stand up, please. Where are you? See, you're a busybody and all, right? Right. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. Chief, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
At this time, everybody is welcome to stay as we continue discussion about the department and get into the more business-focused side of our meeting. But I am not going to hold you to your seats. There are no seatbelts. You're welcome to get up and leave if you are so inclined. Although you're welcome to stay. I won't hold it against you.
Good morning. I was sitting at my desk when you called me. I missed a meeting. I know we had a meeting next week. I said, yeah.
I mean, I don't think this
He first said that we had to change.
I guess I didn't put the change in. I didn't put the change in my phone. Oh, no worries, no worries, no worries, no worries. I may have exceeded the speed limit getting here, but I figured I knew somebody. I knew somebody.
Did you have this pull out?
people say, like, can you just pull out your badge?
They do. They always do that.
And I feel like that's so incredibly inappropriate.
No, although I did do it once when it was also Officer Valentine's visitation at the funeral that night. Oh my gosh, what a sleep because it's well.
Well, that was appropriate.
No, but what happened was when I got to leave, they were going to have me go eat.
But that was, again, that was appropriate.
Right, and so I just said
That wasn't
out the
inappropriate.
window, and so she let me go where I needed to
That
go.
wasn't inappropriate.
Yeah, so that's the only time I've ever done it.
Hey, good morning, sir.
I'll take your torch.
Thank you, sir. principal's office again.
So there'll be no more jokes. There'll be no more jokes about Friday. There'll be no more jokes. This is the end today.
We weren't gonna joke about you anyway.
That's what I'm just saying.
I'm late. I wasn't too tired up this morning. So it's okay. It's golf tournament. That's what this is.
Okay, so right now we'll do a second call to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Here. Thank you very much. Chief, are you ready with your report? Thank you.
Up for the first report is Terry Moran for the budget report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm going to start with the 2023 budget. Still, everything is looking good. As long as we stay consistent, we shouldn't be short. The overtime has stayed pretty consistent every pay period. So that is through the first pay date of August I have. So that's good because that's the summer when we expect it to be higher. So with salaries and fringes, I'm expecting about 800,000, but of course, things can change very quickly, just one pay period. And also the percentages can change by county government. And then I'm showing a surplus in fuel, which is good, but I think they upped it a lot with the gas prices from last year. So I think we're good there. So I had told you that they were going to review it in August about a emergency appropriation. They're waiting till October to do that. I talked to Paul Kreidler about that last week. So, and they said we're not the only department that's right on the line, but I do think we might be okay. And then the 2024 budget, I thought we would already have our budget meeting, but it's tomorrow. So I don't have that'll be our first one, and that's with the budget office next door. So I don't really have a whole lot to report on that. So hopefully next time I will. So we're just going to talk it over and make any adjustments that maybe I missed or they want to add. Good.
So comparing our overtime with our salaries and fringes, do we have an estimate of where we're going to net out?
When we're going to, I'm sorry?
How we're going to net out? Because
Oh, yeah.
overtime is sort of like a plus on the budget.
Right.
And salaries right now are a negative.
Yeah.
So if you net those out.
It's actually about, and I add the fringes onto that too, and it's about 800,000.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
based on, the last pay date. I just kind of projected out.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah. And overtime's like about 4.5 million short. So we have enough in salaries and enough in the fringes to cover that right now.
Okay. And I don't know if you've looked at this, but is our summer vacation schedule that triggers overtime?
Right.
Was that as expected this summer?
I feel like it's better because it has really stayed consistent. I've been kind of surprised. We've had one pay date that was rather high, but otherwise it's staying around. Every pay date is about 350,000 in overtime, average. So we really have not jumped up that much. Last week it went up or went down last pay period. And then this pay period, August 2nd, I think it was, it went down like 5%. So, good.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain Sheldon, you're up, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so we'll get into the crime stats, and then I know that your agenda says human resources next, but I think you had discussed with the chief just rolling straight into strategic plan right after this. So looking at our internal affairs numbers, when we look at the citizen complaints, 0 received last month, which is obviously a great thing, resulting in a 25% overall decrease year to date. Uses of force, knock on wood, continue to come down or come back to the mean. If you remember, after January, we had almost 70%, it was 69% increase in uses of force. And as you can see, we are down to 11.4%. So we've continued to lessen that gap each month. 77% of all uses of force last month were from physical restraint, and that number is at about 74% year to date. When we look at department vehicle accidents, another great thing, because after January, I don't know why I can't say that word today, but we started with about a 60% increase in department accidents. We are now up only 1% or 1 accident overall. The initial investigations from BPS show that last year, 41% of our employees were at fault year to date, and this year it's at 28%. So that's a good thing, showing more circumstances are out of the officer's control. Another one continuing to close the gap and lessen is vehicle pursuits. So we are still higher, obviously, at 57.6. However, the numbers in March, we were 300% over. April was 166, May 147, and June, just last month, was 113. So we continue to lessen. Only 3 pursuits department-wide last month, and that's even with the 207 documented failure to yields. 77% of the pursuits year-to-date have begun in either the 1st Precinct or 8th Precinct in Jennings.
I have a few
You have questions?
Yes. Are you surprised?
Yes.
My statistics or your question?
So use of force incidents are down. A couple months ago, we talked about how they were up, but there was also a corresponding increase in force against our officers.
Mhm.
Has there been a corresponding decrease in force against officers, or is there another reason for the decrease?
So I'll have to look at that. So that update that you're referring to was in May that I gave you, but I did not look at those specific numbers for June and July, but obviously in September I will give you for the last 3 months and kind of see where those are at.
Great. One more question.
Yep.
So our citizen complaint incidents and our internal investigation incidents, have we looked into any other data that might explain the percentage change decrease?
So we try, and so Allie Noble tries, but she's only got the data, and it's really hard for our office. Now we will, and for you guys, we will get with BPS on that. Understand that when Allie or myself, who has access to the system, we only get data numbers. We can't see the entire body of the incident, and that's by design. Obviously, that's not our office, nor would we be privy to that. So that's something that we can talk to BPS about on exactly why it may be down, especially the 30% on internal investigations. But I don't have that breakdown because we just get the raw data.
Okay. As I'm thinking about it, it could also be based on activities outside of BPS. Maybe there are, more active mentoring or intervention before something might reach the level of requiring some sort of referral to BPS.
Yeah,
whereas 2 years ago, maybe.
Absolutely, very well could be. The whole progressive discipline, and maybe there's more verbal type counseling, but that's just speculation on my part because I don't want to tell you that, that's the reason. And then all of a sudden, it's actually something larger. So we'll look into it for sure.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. So as you can see on the bottom there, the failure to yields, 1,883 for the year. The 1510, obviously we put the asterisk there because we didn't record them January of last year, so the year-to-date comparison, as it says on the screen, is not recommended. When you look at the failure to yields, year-to-date here in the heat map, 207, again, occurred in in July. 56% of the fatality yields were in the 1st or 8th precincts, with Jennings actually having more year-to-date than North County. Then as I've always said, if you add the 4th precinct to that, which is also another extremely busy precinct, that number is 1357 out of the 1883, which is almost 73% total. When we look at our highlights, arrests increased from 723 in June to 811 in July. So great work by the officers on the street. Guns seized actually just decreased a little bit. It was 115 last month, 105. And then DWIs were down from 59 to 42. Explanation on that is pretty simple. As I've pointed out pretty much every month, our highway safety unit does a fantastic job and generates the majority of those numbers. It's actually almost 71% of DWIs come from them. They were actually all for an entire week at a training out of town, and then there was a couple of subsequent trainings in town for them, and then vacations and things like that. But to have the number still at 42 with all of that is pretty good. So when we look at our crimes against persons data, homicides, knock on wood, continue to be down to almost 23%, 24 this year and 31 last year. The aggravated assaults, again, if we can break them down. It's a great thing that firearms are down 17%, but if you just look at aggravated assault totals overall, we're barely down by 1, 867 last year to 866.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Go back to kidnapping, abduction.
Up to 27.3%. So we talked to domestic violence about that. They stated that they're getting more domestic kidnappings issued. It's actually 54% more, which has contributed to that large increase. Any other questions about
I guess
persons?
I'm wondering, is that because there are more incidents, or people not so fearful of making a report?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about fearful of making a report, because obviously there's more domestic incidents that have been reported. Understand that I know that the way that the public views kidnappings is your classic taking the
Right.
child off the street. That's not these sorts of things. I know that the number is the 27% kind of jumps out, but I don't want to minimize it, but it's only 6 year to date. Again, I think as we get to the end of the year, you're going to see that even close further, just looking at the numbers as they've closed every month.
Thank you.
So the homicide infographs here, 4 homicides this month, 2 within St. Louis County patrol areas. Crimes Against Persons has investigated 33 homicides for the year. That includes all municipalities as well. And then Commissioner Schwerin, I believe you asked, I wasn't here last month, but 2 months ago when I was here, something about the age, if we had seen kind of a disparity. So we looked at the last 5 years of homicide victims' age. In 2019, the average was 32 years old. 2020 was 28 years old. In 21, it was 26. 22 was 30. And this year it's 31. So the short answer is the demographics are usually typical year to year. Keep flipping. Crimes against property. A couple of things to point out. Again, great that robberies with firearms is down nearly 17%, but overall, I think it's good that the robberies are down 4%. But again, looking at the numbers, we're talking about another 6, so that could go either way, but it's always going to be right in the same vicinity. Motor vehicle thefts. For the first time in over 2 years, we are actually down, which is a good thing. So last month we were up 13.6%. We're finally down 0.2%. So the thefts of Kias and Hyundais obviously began to rise around May 22 and peaked around August and September. So the next few months we will see those higher numbers reflected in the year to date. July of 22 had 159 more stolen vehicles than July of 23. So again, coming back. The thefts of Kias and Hyundais, by the way, they're decreasing, but still not back to the previous rates from previous years. And then society, not a whole lot to point out other than the DWIs again, even with the decrease from June to July, to still be up close to 50%. I'd just like to point that number out because it's fantastic. The directed calls for service, again, not surprising. July is summer month, it's busy. Every single precinct is higher than their moving average, which is expected. The self-initiated, every precinct other than North County is below or practically even, which again is the norm. But even with the higher directed call volume, I think I want to point out that the first precinct still has a higher than average self-initiated call volume. Obviously, the first precinct does a fantastic job. I think the creation of the overlay shift, giving them more manpower up there, has led to this. And I know that I've spoken with Captain Cavaletti about this. The first precinct does their own special enforcement type of details for traffic-related things like speeding and temp tags. That has kept that increase. So kudos to the folks, the men and women up there. Top calls. This remains the same, but we could play a game and say which directed call is never on there other than in July. And fireworks violations obviously made it. You're not going to see that again until next July. But sick cases are always going to be the top. And then our TSR data, the only thing I want to point out is our TSR committee met last month. Myself, Lieutenant Colonel Cox, and Captain Means. And so we review every officer on the entire department. And the good thing is there's no issues noted. Any questions about anything crime stat related before we roll into the strategic plan? Good, all right. So obviously we didn't get the chance, so we kind of rolled quarters 2 and 3. I had given you the original update back after the first quarter. So I've thrown up here, I believe I included that in your packet. It's this chart here that kind of shows it overall, and I'll explain where we're at. So the chart on the screen outlines the current progress of the department's 5-year strategic plan. And as a recap, contained within that plan are 5 overall goals, which are broken down into 23 initiatives and 103 key activities. So the graphic up here represents the main body of the plan, which drives how we basically quantify the process or the progress. The numbers listed represent the 103 key activities. 2 of these, as you can see, are finalized in a completed status. And I'll tell you about those real briefly. So one of them that was completed was the key activity to evaluate the countywide resident officer program. As you know, because you all signed it, the key activity was completed on April 12th of this year with the completion of the new general order, which now allows officers residing in surrounding counties to utilize and take home marked county patrol vehicles. The other one that is completed was to develop and implement an internal department intranet. And I know, as you are all aware as well of that one, the department's new intranet site recently went live and is virtually sort of a one-stop shop for employees to find easy access into applications, information, services, data, things of that nature. So those are the 2 that are completed. So it's actually 8 that are completed, but we put the other 6 of those in a completed but reoccurring status. So a couple of highlights from those, and I'll explain kind of what that means, which is, although they've been completed, they're constantly being reevaluated and can be updated through the life of the 5-year plan. Some of the highlights of those, one of the key activities was various multi-agency training has been developed and implemented by the Tactical Operations Unit. So our department is about to embark on another year of MACTAC training. MACTAC is an acronym that stands for Multi-Assault Counterterrorism Action Capabilities. But in layman's terms, that's just the police response to active shooter or active killer type scenarios or incidents. So nearly every department inside of St. Louis County will participate in this training. This is an example of a key activity that will never officially be completed because we expect each year's training to incorporate new tactics or trends to help guide our police officers. Next year, they already have planned and are starting to write the curriculum for a MACTAC tabletop exercise, which we have done before, but that will be for supervisors from all of the departments to come together and tabletop these sorts of scenarios. So again, completed, but reoccurring. Another example of that would be the key activity that says enhance and revise policy to mirror best practices. As you know, because you all sign it on several months basis, that our department constantly reviews policy and researches best practices from departments across the nation. We also look at the IACP model policies and CLIA standards to ensure that we continue to be a CLIA accredited TRIARC agency. What does TRIARC mean? It means that we have accreditations in the fields of law enforcement, communications, and our training academy. So those are just two of the examples of things that are completed, but obviously reoccurring. And then in addition to the 8 items that are in a completed or completed reoccurring status, as the graphic shows up here, 42 key activities are currently at an in progress status. So that means that one of the department's 6 committees or otherwise are actively working on items to see it through until it reaches a completion status. I'm not going to stand up here and talk to you about all 42 key activities because one of the folks behind me will probably bum rush me in a heartbeat, and we will be here all day, but I'll just highlight 3 of those 42 items. So one of the key activities says that we will develop and implement an online reporting system for certain identified crimes. The We Care program, which is virtually a computer-aided reporting entry system for citizens, is in a pilot program that went live last week, and it will be in that pilot for 30 days. Citizens have the ability to report 2 crimes right now, which is stolen license plates or stolen license plate tabs, simply by entering it. Basically, there's a process they go through, but they will enter it themselves into the We Care program. The pilot, once we're done, will allow us to look at the functionality and give us the ability to possibly have citizens report other various crimes, things to the effect maybe of larcenies with no suspects or destruction of properties with no suspects. But again, we're in the infancy stages of that. Another one of the in-progress key activities to highlight, the key activity reads, assess and increase department's readiness/training needs for organized response to critical mass incidents such as active shooter scenarios. Continue to engage schools as partners throughout that process. So as I previously mentioned, the great work that our Tactical Operations Unit does with regional MACTAC training and training all of the police officers across the area, we recently secured a $90,000 donation from the Police Foundation for simunitions, weapon conversions kits to aid in that training. So this is the first time our officers or officers anywhere in the area will utilize the training with simunitions, which allows the officers to experience the reality of the encounter and also force the officer to learn to utilize sound judgment and develop confidence in decisions made in life and death circumstances. And then finally, the last one I would like to highlight is develop and implement a system for computerized record checks to be conducted. So there is a contract that you may be aware of that is currently pending with a company called Idemnia, and that contract should be presented to the board in the coming months, hopefully next month in September. Idemnia is a company that would provide the department with basically kiosks at different locations throughout the county where citizens could complete their own record checks without the need to come to police headquarters and do fingerprints and things of that nature. And then finally, I know I said back in my first report, which would have been in April, that this document obviously is a 5-year plan, and it's always going to be a work in progress. So the first 7 months have shown us things that have worked immensely, but also some things that we believe that need to be refined. Yesterday, I met with Chief Gregory and Deputy Chief Ludwig and Miss Marissa Williams, who you well know does most of the legwork at authoring or at least writing what the committees turn in. We discussed what tweaks we can make to drive the discussion moving forward. So the committees have done an absolutely fantastic job to this point, as evidenced here, to have all this in progress in only 7 months. But obviously, we strive to keep looking at ways to improve. So we will be posting the updates to Power DMS so our employees can follow along with the progress of the plan. And then I will be meeting with the chairs of the committees here in the coming weeks to discuss some of these matters and see kind of a tabletop on ourselves to see what's worked and what we can do better. But all in all, I think that speaking for Chief Gregory and Deputy Chief Ludwig, myself and Marissa, that we're extremely pleased at the hard work of all of the department members, the committee members for sure, and see where this continues to go in the fourth quarter.
Thank you.
This is very impressive. Thank you for all your work on this and everybody in the department.
Chart's
said,
very helpful, thank you.
Yep, no problem. And I appreciate that, but I'm one small cog and I don't do a whole lot, but those committees, they do all the legwork. So thank you.
Captain Shelby and his guys are doing a great job with this strategic plans. And as we discussed strategic plans when we first started this, he talked about things that are working right now, that we can change, that we're making enhancements to, and also things that we could add to our strategic plans as the ideas came in. And one of the things that Deputy Chief brought to my attention yesterday was something that we want to get involved in. It's called the 30-30 Initiative. Commissioner Swearing, I think you mentioned this to us once before about the hiring of women. Maybe, maybe not. Okay.
I feel like many of Commissioner Ashworth's comments are being attributed to me today. Not that I'm not supportive of this. I'm very
But-
supportive of it.
As we looked at this, and Lieutenant Ossendorf did some research into this, it will add to a number of things that are already within our strategic plans, that progress that we're working toward, and we're looking to get involved with that. I also mentioned when we started strategic plans that any financial aids that we would probably need to get through our plans, I would contact the St. Louis Police Foundation as opposed to going back to county government for funds. And as Captain Shellman mentioned, we approached them for the $90,000 for the ammunition for MACTAC training. So it's moving along pretty well.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Captain Morgan, thank you up, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I was told I have 2.5 minutes. I won't tell you who told me that. But I know that you enjoy a good PowerPoint, so I decided to create one for you this time. So we will get that going. I think. Was it up there? No?
I've got it.
You're special.
Oh, you got it.
Right. Absolutely.
So I will note that the last time I did this report, I produced rain. So I'm hoping that we don't have a torrential downpour after we complete this, but we may get out a little early if I do. So we'll see here.
So when you say produce rain, do you mean literally, or do you mean in terms of the number of applicants you're receiving?
No, no, we produce physical rain, physical rain outside. I think I broke it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very, very kindly. I'm sure he did, though.
Well, we can see it up here.
You can
Okay.
share with me.
Okay,
My screen
all
is
right.
the only one that's up.
Well, we'll pick up where,
Yeah.
we'll pick up. Okay, so this is for July 2023. We'll start with the professional staff. Authorized numbers sit at 384. Our actual numbers, that's actually the officers we have, dispatchers that we have to put on our radios and on our calls. It sits at 337, leaves us with a vacancy number of 47. Again, we talked about this We talked about this a couple of months ago and last month as well, that the PSD Academy class number 19, we didn't have a date for it originally, but now we do. It's going to be in October 30th. Again, we are pushing that off because we have new systems that are coming on board that we'd like to give them a more structured class towards the end of the year so they all can be on the same page at the same time. So that does not mean that we will not still seek more PhDs. We just are going to have a structured class in October of this year. So our vacancies currently sit, this is just for July, not into August, 16 security officers. We had 17 dispatchers and then 3 report writing clerks. You see on the right-hand side there, we are hiring. So if you're watching, you aren't aware, we are hiring. So as we move on to, this is where the rain came last month. We move on to the commission positions. Our authorized numbers sit at 970. Our actual officers or bodies that we have that we can put in cars and put in places, that is 848. Our vacancy, yes, this is a true number. This is the number. It's 122. May, we started off and we talked about that number being pushed to its correct position. May, it was actually sitting at 128. Last month, it should have been at 124, and then again, July, we're at 122. Most notably is that our recruits, if we hire recruits, they go to our academy, they are a part of our actual number. That's how they carry that, because they potentially, we're assuming that they're going to graduate. So that's where that number was being placed. It just took me a little time to understand, a little bit of a learning curve, how these numbers work and what these numbers look like. So I will offer your apologies for any confusion that was done in last month or the previous month. But our vacancies lie within police officers of 121 and then one lieutenant spot. Again, that is for July of 2023. And again, another one of our brochures here on the right, we are definitely hiring. And we still offer those benefits for our employees. If they bring on someone that is experienced or non-experienced, there is a denomination that we give, which is $800 and $1,000 for those situations. Moving on to the,
Can
I'm
I
sorry,
jump
go
in really quickly? So just to make sure I understand, the actual number includes our recruits at any given time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
At any given time, if they're hired and they're actually at the academy, they're included in the actual numbers.
Okay.
Okay, and then they obviously will come out, do their field training, and then we get them off of probation from there. As far as what we're doing to kind of fill those spots from the academy, class 208, they're in week 7. They're down to 28 recruits from 33 recruits that we started with. We're now sitting at 10 county officers, and our municipal partners have 18 recruits in our academy class 208. Down there at the bottom, I just wanted to point out that we can't do what we do at the academy if we don't have partnerships from our partners. So I won't list them all. I mean, I won't name them all, but I did want to list them because they're a big part of making sure that our academy classes run, and we need them to up that number so we can continue to do what we do. It also is a testament that they are still sending people to our academy so they know what they're getting out of their officer when they do graduate. And then this is new, the extended leave. I know this was brought up or actually spoken about prior, but I wanted to bring this to your attention. Military separation, our numbers stay fairly consistent with that. They kind of go and they kind of go and do what they have to do, and they come back fairly quickly. The ones that are listed here are long-term ones, so we're keeping an eye on that. We also are looking at our extended leave, our ODIs, and leave without pay individuals. There are a number of individuals that are on that list, and as you see, it sits at 9. Some of those are rather lengthy, and we're in the process of trying to ensure that we're doing the best for them and the best for our department as we proceed into moving to a next HR person taking over.
And so are those numbers also included in the 848?
Yes, yes, they are.
What is ODI?
So that is on-duty injury.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so applications for July of 23, if you look across the top there, those are the actual applications where they put in for, and then down on the left is kind of the running categories that we follow. So on the police side, we had 19 applicants, 5 are currently in backgrounds. That MBQ, best not qualified, there were 4 that we saw in July, and then we have 5 that voluntarily withdrew. I don't know exactly what those could be because obviously they're reporting whatever they think is best for us to hear, but it could be a numerous of things. They could have gotten different opportunities or it just didn't work out for them, okay? So the dispatcher applicants, we saw 20 in July. We also have 4 of those that are in backgrounds. The MBQs are at 13. Again, I would point out that these are because this is the skill-based portion of the process is on the front end versus the end. So we are seeing a little bit more of those, but also in July, we saw a little bit of a change in that we weren't getting a lot of responses back. So they weren't being receptive to us asking them to come in to do things for us. So ultimately, we have to move on from that. So that those numbers were also displayed within that 13. Then 2 voluntary withdrawals. The security side of things, so we had 14 applicants, 4 in backgrounds, 3 MBQs and 1 voluntary withdrawal. And then the other, which is on your far right there, that is anything other than the 3 that we have listed. That 53 number, as I wish it would be on all the other 3 locations, that is actually being driven by the HR position that we had open that carried into the month of July. So that's why that number is relatively high. We had 2 that were MBQ'd and then 2 voluntary withdrawals on that. I also will mention that we had 10 individuals who left us in July. All of those persons did not do their exit interviews. Some of them refused to do those exit interviews. It's a voluntary thing. We don't mandate they do that. However, the ones that we did receive, the going factor was they wanted to increase their career opportunity or they wanted to go somewhere where they could increase their financial situation. So the financial situation is more related to personnel, staff, individuals who left. Okay?
So on this chart,
Yes, ma'am.
the numbers that are for in background, MBQ, and voluntary withdrawals, those could be applications that we received in June or May.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you see these applicant numbers, depending on the things that they have produced, the things that they've given us, sometimes these applications don't have all the information in them, or they don't have all the materials that we need to go further in the process. So they could be at various stages of the process at this point. And when you look at the numbers, they obviously don't add up to be that number at the top. That's just because we're carrying them over from month to month, and we're doing there are different stages.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? No? So yes, again, I said it a couple of times, we are hiring. Our 3 main focuses and what we have brochures out, we have media relations things that are going out on those 3 main areas that we see the biggest openings or opportunities for growth. So security services, our PSDs, and then obviously the police department. So if you are watching this or you have the opportunity to review this film at some point, we'd like you to tell somebody about St. Louis County Police Department.com/careers. That'll get you to all of the applications that we have out and open. And if you're a little more tech savvy, then you can just point your phone at that little dinosaur up there and it'll send you to the same place. Okay? So I know that Commissioner Ashworth isn't here. So I know he's probably sending questions to you. So I'm willing to answer or close any gaps on anything that you guys may have.
I have one question.
Sure.
It's all my own. I'll own
Okay.
it entirely. So as we're moving through our strategic plan and making departmental-wide changes, is your department being pulled into the discussion? For example, like when we're talking about these kiosks to do record checks, is there going to be a change in where we're going to place personnel or how many personnel we need to support that new initiative?
So
Are we
I
thinking
can't
about that?
answer that with extreme confidence. I don't believe that there will be any changes in personnel where they're actually housed. That is what he's referring to as far as services that someone could do on their own as far as background checks and those type of things. I would imagine that there would be some type of change in that regard on how we do things internally, but not so much on the public facing aspect of things.
Okay, that was
So-
probably a bad example.
No, but it is actually a good point because we do some things on our end for personnel who are contracted that we need to evaluate. And we've already started to address that in executive staff and things like that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks for-
all right, that was easy.
Good PowerPoint too, by the way.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Thanks, Captain. I appreciate it. Captain Morgan's holding down about 3 positions now. Academy Director, Human Resources. I think yesterday he was handling Special Operations, so keep up the good work. Lieutenant Ossendorf is working real well with Captain Morgan in Human Resources. So I think we got the the Human Resources interview scheduled for September. Is that correct, Chief? 6 and 7, so we're moving along. Colonel Cox, you're up, sir, for intramurals.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? Chief wanted me to give an update on the Intramural Sports League program. The program is headed up by Michelle Ryan. She's away, so she left some notes for me to go over. She is considered to be the program coordinator. She is being helped by Captain Mann, Sergeant Bagley, Sergeant McCrary, Deputy Director Gabriel, and Officer Kranz. So it's really a program that all of our employees are participating in. Actually, last year we had, I shouldn't say all, but 427 of our employees participated in the Intramural Sports League, either playing a sport or one of the activities. The league started in April of 2022. That's when program began. We started out with basketball. We had a bowling tournament that Captain Lawson was the star of. We had a softball league, kickball tournament, cornhole tournament, flag football, golf tournament, and pickleball. So that was all done last year, and we had 427 employees participate, and a lot of those employees participate in multiple activities. In 2023, we've already had basketball, softball, one golf tournament. Currently, they're playing sand volleyball, which I hear is a really good time. I haven't been out there yet for that. Upcoming, we have a cornhole tournament, flag football, another golf tournament, and pickleball coming in October. Usually after October, we take a couple months off to prepare for the next year to see what we can do bigger and better. I say we, but really Michelle Ryan runs the program along with Captain Mann and those sergeants that I named. How do we gauge success of the program? I should say this year we've had 357 participants, and with several more activities to come, we will surpass that 427 number, I'm sure. I gauge the success of the program by word of mouth, informal conversations, the amount of families that are coming out to witness these amazing athletes. And it really is a good time because we are having fellowship where it's positive, it's fun, and it was created to build morale and to increase team building. I think the program is successful up to this point. Do you guys have anything for me?
No PowerPoint?
Just straight game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All those comments that the Colonel made about what this program is doing for us, and the other thing about the program is supported by the St. Louis Police Foundation. All those things he mentioned about the program is working, camaraderie, guys getting along, bringing families out, so forth and so on, and it's been great for us. I question his statement about amazing athletes. Okay? And another good thing about it, as far as the department is concerned, we have not had a lot of injuries. Shouldn't have said that, right? Shouldn't have said that, but no, we haven't. So it's going pretty well for us. That's all I have for the Chief's report.
Thank you, Chief. Next on our agenda, we have 2 sets of minutes from our meeting on July 12th. I hope you've had a chance to review them. Any concerns, comments, or questions on those minutes?
I don't have any.
May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move that we approve the 2 sets of minutes from the July 12th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These meeting minutes shall be adopted. Next on our agenda, letters and communications. Do we have any incoming communications? Do we have any outgoing communications to discuss? Hearing none, I will move on. Any old business to discuss? Okay. Let's move on to new business. We have a whole series of contracts for consideration and approval. The first two contracts are police service agreements, and we will introduce and consider those one at a time. The first is a police service agreement with the City of Pasadena Hills. Chief, would you like to introduce that agreement?
Yes, if I could, I'd like to introduce Mayor Cynthia Pender McCarthy, who is the mayor of Pasadena Hills. And with her is Officer Tim Conway, who is the officer from St. Louis County that's assigned to Pasadena Hills.
Okay.
And I just want to say thank you for the services that we are able to provide for you and you having the confidence in us working for Pasadena Hills. And I think we have a citizen here that also resides in Pasadena Hills somewhere.
Yes, that's my mayor.
That's my mayor.
That's my mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the partnership. So this is a recommendation to approve a renewal contract for full police services between the City of Pasadena Hills and St. Louis County Police Department. The contract begins upon execution through June 30th, 2024. The initial term cost is $134,242.80. May I have a motion to approve this police service agreement?
I move that we approve the service agreement with Pasadena Hills, a great city in St. Louis County.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 This agreement is approved. Thank you. Chief, we have a second police service agreement.
Yes, this is with Norwood Court, and with us here today is Town Chairperson Cherry Marshall. And the officer from St. Louis County assigned to Norwood Court is Police Officer Blair Corey.
Right.
Thank you for being here. Chairman, again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve Norwood Courts. We appreciate it.
And this is a police service agreement for full police services between the town of Norwood Court and the St. Louis County Police Department. The contract begins upon execution through June 30th, 2024. The initial term cost is $203,277.32. May I have a motion to approve this police service agreement?
I move that we approve the police service agreement for the town of Norwood Court.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This police service agreement is approved. Thank you both for the partnership. The remaining contracts to approve are professional service agreements, which consist of contracts for various courses with our police academy and also for our peer support mentors. So I'm going to divide them into the first 5 and the second 6, and we can consider and approve those in batches. The first is a new contract for Vista Law Enforcement Training and Consulting, LLC, to provide the CMPA with a program entitled Advanced Report Writing Techniques for Investigators. The second is a new contract with Vista Law Enforcement Training and Consulting, LLC, to provide the CMPA with a program entitled Basic Tactical Interviewing and Interrogation Techniques. The third is a contract with Vista Law Enforcement Training and Consulting, LLC, to provide the CMPA with a program entitled Sexual Assault Investigations. The fourth is a new contract for Advanced Police Concepts, LLC, to provide the CMPA with a program titled Advanced Field Training Officer Seminar. And the fifth is a new contract with Patrick E. Horn to provide the CMPA with an instructor to teach a program entitled First Line Supervision. Do we have any discussion on these contracts?
I don't have anything. No.
Okay.
I move that we approve.
Okay.
Excuse me. Second.
Okay. Before we vote on that, I'm going to add the dates and the costs for each of these programs I neglected to when I first described them. The program entitled Advanced Report Writing Techniques for Investigators will be held September 27th through September 29th at a cost not to exceed $3,000. The program titled Basic Tactical Interviewing and Interrogation Techniques will be held on September 8th at a cost not to exceed $1,000. The program entitled Sexual Assault Investigations will be held on September 12th at a cost not to exceed $1,000. The program entitled Advanced Field Training Officer Seminar will be held on September 14th through September 15th at a cost not to exceed $4,000. And the program entitled First Line Supervision will be held September 25th through September 29th at a cost not to exceed $1,700. Now knowing those dates and costs, do we have any other discussion on these?
Nope.
No.
May I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve already.
Yeah, but she didn't put
Second.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye.
Mhm.
Are you in favor of
Oh, yeah.
approving?
Aye.
Okay. These agreements are approved. The next is a new contract for CP Crime Scene Consulting and Seminars LLC to provide the CMPA with a program titled Basic Fire and Explosion Investigation for Officers and Investigators to be held on September 12th at a cost not to exceed $1,200. The second is a new contract for Law Enforcement Risk Management Group, Inc. to provide a program entitled Interview and Interrogation for New Detectives, Criminal Investigators, and First Responders to be held September 18th through September 20th at a cost not to exceed $8,500. The third is a new contract for Randy Means and Associates LLC to provide a program entitled Managing Police Personnel Administration on September 25th through September 26th at a cost not to exceed $5,000. The fourth is a new contract for Randy Means and Associates LLC to provide a program entitled Internal Affairs Today, September 27th at a cost not to exceed $2,500. The fifth is a new contract for Randy Means and Associates LLC to provide a program titled Community Policing Nuts and Bolts on September 28th at a cost not to exceed $2,500. And the last is a professional services agreement, but it's an amendment to a contract currently for $3,300 to the Right Solution, Inc., intended to provide training to employees who will be designated as peer support mentors. Each session will provide training for up to 30 students and will be 2 days long. The initial contract was for $16,000 to be held to support training between September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2022. But the amendment in the amount of $3,300 will provide additional services from execution through August 31st, 2023. So to summarize, this is an increase in the dollar amount of the contract to provide additional training to our peer support mentors. Do we have any discussion on these 6 contracts?
I guess I wonder why the amendment was necessary, why it wasn't in the plan initially. Anybody can answer that? So the additional amount requested of $3,300, it looks like if the initial contract started in September of 2020, was this something they hadn't anticipated or needed?
Well, so they extended it. It went from August of 2022, now it's
Right.
going through 2023. So
I guess what I'm saying is why wasn't it set up like that in the beginning? That's the only question, all the way through from September 20th to.
Ma'am, it was more successful than we anticipated.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's all I needed. Thank you.
So for those on WebEx, the answer was this training was more successful than anticipated, and so it's going to be expanded for more participants to be trained.
Great. I move that these professional service agreements be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These contracts shall be approved. Next on our agenda is our public forum. Are there any members of the public who would like to participate in the meeting at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to our next item. The Board of Police Commissioners may vote to go into closed meeting for legal advice and review of claims and lawsuits involving the Police Department, Section 610-0211 RSMO, and Section 114-0211 SLCRO, and discussion of employee and personnel matters, Section 610-0213 and 13 RSMO, and Sections 114-0201, 3, and 13 SLCRO. May I have a motion to go into closed meeting?
I move that we go into closed session.
Second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwerin?
Yes. We are now in closed session. Thank you all. Welcome back. We are back from closed session. We had one vote in closed session, and that was to come back to open session, and we unanimously voted to come back to open session. Any other topics of discussion?
No.
No, there are none.
Hearing none, I'll announce that we have tentatively set our September meeting for the 12th, although we are going to confirm that and we'll send out notice appropriately. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
May we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassler?
Yes.
Commissioner Schwerin?
Yes, we are adjourned.